Okay, so hi every week. So now we're into here we go, week 7, right? How quickly things go, right? And week 7 is titled "The Atomic Age and the Cold War," right? And remember, we're kind of carrying from last week. Last week you had an assignment that showed, or you offered some advice to Truman on what to do about the potential of dropping a second atomic bomb on Japan. Right, because the atomic age, or the ability of using atomic power in warfare, is going to be a critical piece, right, of all foreign policy. All countries now suddenly realize the destructive power of this thing. They realize the importance of having it, and now countries are going to try to develop it. And the Soviets, the communists, get that technology. So now we're going to enter what's known as the Cold War. See, a hot war is a shooting war, like, World War I, World War II, different things. But see, the Cold War opens up a different idea because the destructive power of atomic weaponry now suddenly makes warfare or direct confrontation between two countries a little unthinkable. Right, so we've got to develop a different way to kind of, influence countries, to develop your influence around the world, and that's where this idea of the Cold War comes in. It's a philosophical war: communism on one side, democracy and capitalism on the other, and so as opposed to these two countries, the Soviet Union and the United States, facing off, toe to toe with atomic weapons that basically destroy the planet and destroy everything. We get into more of a philosophical war to win the hearts and minds of people. Okay, so that's really kind of the way you want to think about this. So in your writing assignment, right, you're asked to identify 3 particular events. Right, I'm reading here. Right, many young Americans during 1950s and 60s can most likely recall nuclear war threats, films, drills, images directed toward totalitarian regimes in America. Right, so what we want you to do then, right, is that this writing assignment, okay, is, look at these events, okay, look at what's going on, okay, and describe 3 significant events. And significant is, it's open to instruction, observation, so forth, but your opinion, right, and then write and describe in detail these events. But the core question there is, how is propaganda used to influence America during the war? And we say the war, I'm thinking in terms of the Cold War, right? This post-World War II area. We're trying to get people to think about stuff, all right? Now, as the prompt points out, there's lots of things that direct us purely at communism, right? And there's tons you can do. But I also want to direct your attention to the women's movement and the growth of suburbia, which is going on during this time too, which is also significant on the cultural home front. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're writing about it, right? Remember, propaganda isn't necessarily always a terrible thing. Propaganda is one side of the argument given to promote your view regardless of the other side, right? It's not a balanced argument. It's propaganda. It only gives one side. So you want to look at these things, right? We've got, Berlin Wall, you've got Korea, like you said, we've got these duck and cover drills. You've got a lot of things going on that are kind of creating this tension, what to do in America. There's a great fear of communism. All right, Khrushchev makes some very bold, boisterous statements about communism taking over. So there's a fear there, a great fear. So how does our society kind of play on this or use this? How does the government, how do other agencies use propaganda, one side of it, to promote certain things? So that's what we're getting at. So you're going to find 3 elements you're going to look at. Okay, and then in the writing assignment, it's interesting because Senator Joseph McCarthy is a big anti-communist and makes a career, short-lived career, but makes a career on kind of promoting the notion that communism's everywhere and we got to snuff out communism, right? And what we ask you to do, all right, is he writes a telegram from Senator Joseph McCarthy to President Truman, okay? And this is on February 11th, 1950. And what we want you to do is read the telegram and then think about, why do you suppose he wrote that? Why did the senator write this telegram to the president? And these accusations he puts in there, are they healthy or unhealthy? Right? Is he doing it for strictly promotional of his personal political career? Or is he truly concerned about the safety and integrity of America? Okay? And that's kind of what it comes down to. It kind of gets you thinking in terms of, how much of a threat was this threat during the Cold War? Okay? And don't forget, we also have a quiz this week. All right? So kind of prep your mind and don't forget to do that as well. Okay? So we've got the writing assignment. We're looking at 3 key events. Going to tell us, why they're significant and how propaganda plays a role. And then we're going to look at this note or telegram that Senator McCarthy sends to President Truman. And again, Senator McCarthy, right? Propaganda. He's only giving his side of the story. Is this a form of propaganda to that degree? And then is it healthy to have these kind of ideas or arguments out there, or is it inherently unhealthy? What do you think about that? Okay? As always, if you have any questions, never hesitate to contact me. Alrighty, bye now.